Welcome back to Virak Studio. This was my old studio. We're not going to be shooting in there, but it's just kind of nice to see the old place. I actually reserved a room down the hall from my old studio to do a photo shoot, but that photo shoot canceled. So I decided that I'm going to do another workshop. A lot of my older students were asking about workshops, so I decided to put one together. So this is the room that I rented out specifically to do this workshop, and I spent all day emptying out my car and filling up my van full of the equipment. So I figured I'd make a video talking about all the equipment involved in doing this photo shoot. I thought it'd be kind of a fun video to make. So here's some of the equipment that we are putting together. She has already brought out this backdrop. This is the before. This room is a multi-purpose room that's been used for dancing. It doubles as a gym as well. But today we're turning into a photo shoot room. Rather have it set up there, but the problem having it set up there, because I mean, if I set it up there, I could have this length of the room to take photos, but this mirror reflects light everywhere. So I'm gonna put the stand, the backdrop stand right here so I don't have that issue. Nah, you can. Hiya. But I brought this because I thought it would be fun, but I forgot all the little things that go with it. Oh. Yeah, I forgot all the little things that you can change it to. I was hoping to use a spotlight or something. This is like $1,000 in just stands. So unloading it is actually the easier part. Loading it is the more difficult because then I want to make sure that I'm running through my head and figuring out every single piece of equipment that I need so I don't forget anything, but I still manage to forget stuff. I don't have my little fitting room anymore, so I brought one of these things, which is a pop-up dressing room. Oh yeah? What's the best method? So step one is setting up the backdrop. I'm using Calumet stands. So the other ones are a lot flimsier, tend to bow. This is not only this one lightweight, but it still can support heavier loads. And you don't want your paper backdrop moving. They are made out of paper. If the backdrops are made out of paper and people are standing on it, it tends to move. And you don't want that to happen because then it creates a dangerous situation. Then I'm gonna set the paper, being mindful of how it's gonna roll out. So I need to flip this. I'm gonna put it on here. And the other little quick tip about these backdrop stands, the paper backdrops, you wanna store them vertically because if you store them horizontally or just leave them on their stand, the weight of the paper will eventually bow. And that's going to cause little wrinkles in the paper, and I don't like to have that. For these Velcro straps, I actually bought the longer one. I just cut them into 1-foot pieces to wrap around this. And then I want to make sure I'll be able to find these later, so I'm going to keep them wrapped right here. Now before I put this up, actually can you help me move it a little bit this way? I keep a clamp right here. I'm going to start with the top. This is going to go straight to the top. And this, so my wife is trying to help me, but I need her to film for me. She's always trying to help me out, and I appreciate her. So I'm gonna push this up and tighten, but then before it gets too high, I need to start letting the paper down. Bring this up a little bit more. Another little trick, when I do this, I just do one quick release, push it up, and if I wanna tighten again, tighten it up. There's no need to unfurl the entire thing. So you see, once I let go, it's gonna want to keep rolling out. I'm gonna have my wife take this and then try to drag it out. If you need to put that thing down, you can. Keep going. Keep going. Lower it. Put it on the ground. Right there. That's good. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention, notice how this leg got in the way. I normally would do that, but I want to make sure that it's like this. So the paper has an area that it can fall in. Depot. This top section from Husky is storing my batteries. This picture's for Besu if he shows up. And then for my side light, it's gonna be an Alien B 800. Little quick tip. I'm gonna eventually have a softbox on this. So it's gonna want to tilt forward. So if you have this heavy softbox or modifier and it's gonna want to tilt forward, then I'm gonna simply turn it like this so the leg is there. So it's less of a chance of that happening. Now this is just gonna be the side light. And then for my key light, I generally like to keep that on wheels. This C-stand. C-stands are really useful. They're very durable. This is going to want to tilt forward that way based on what we intend to do with it. Now, before I set up the C-stand in its entirety, there's a couple things I need to do. First, I'm going to put some weights on that so it doesn't fall over. All right, and then before I send that up, I need to attach the trigger. These are old triggers. These are the old school Pocket Wizard triggers. But what I like about them is they're compatible with almost every camera. And I'm gonna set this trigger to receiver. And it's being powered by these on-loop batteries, the best batteries. That's the only battery I like to use now. This is the on-loop Pros. I'm gonna plug this in now. I'm gonna plug this in, make sure it works. All right, so this is gonna be our overhead light. Now here's the thing, I'm not gonna be, if I point it like this, it's gonna have some spill on the backdrop, and the backdrop has a slight curve to it. Let me make a slight adjustment to the backdrop. And I don't want light spilling onto the back, so I'm actually gonna turn it a little bit this way, lock it in place. So this will act as our hair light. Make sure that's locked down. Now the other thing is, if you notice this main bar is tilting kind of down, what I wanna do is relieve some of the pressure by having this at a slight angle up, and then I can tilt this part down. Otherwise, it's gonna put too much pressure on the light stand. It's gonna wanna tip over. So that's why I do it like this. I'm gonna raise it up. All right, that is our overhead light, also known as the hair light. But I just realized that that's gonna go off all the time. Let me bring this back down. See, this is why I shouldn't make mistakes, is that I did not set the trigger correctly. Trigger says A, B, C, and D. I'm gonna turn off B, C, and D. So this is gonna be the A light. And see, it says transmitter only. I actually have to say that to receiver only. So that's only receiving a signal. It's not sending a signal. That way, if I don't wanna use this light, I can do so without having to adjust, do this every single time I want to make an adjustment. All right, that is our hair light. All right, so for this key light, I'm adding this more robust stand. But the thing about this is I want it to be able to, I want it to be a little mobile. Looking around because I realized I also forgot my extension cord. Okay, so on this light, I'm actually putting a modeling dish. The thing about this modeling dish that I love is that it has this grid. So that's really gonna allow me to direct the light where I want it to. So this grid, actually let me just show. So the purpose of this modeling dish, it's gonna take the flash, it's gonna give a nice bright white light on my subject. Now I blast the light in kind of a controlled manner, and it leaves these beautiful round catch lights in the eye. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this honeycomb grid on it, because that's gonna direct the light straight forward in the direction that I want. And I'll put this sock over it to diffuse the light. That's gonna soften the light a lot more, so I'm not gonna get really harsh shadows, which again, that's a creative decision you need to make if you want harsh shadows or not. I prefer soft shadows on female subjects, and our model today will be a female. Again, I'm using a diffuse softbox for diffuse lighting. This is going to be positioned to the side of that hair light, so my model is going to have a precise idea of where they need to be standing. Because look, see how this is the weight of this softbox is causing this stand to bend, and it's going to eventually fall. If they fall, it can break a lot of different things. So I'm making a quick decision, and I am going to use during this event. All right, there you have it. And then let's lower this a little bit. Now the issue with these cheaper stands, if you notice, the legs are a lot shorter. So as I bring this light up higher, it's gonna want to feel like it's tilting and tipping over. So I don't love these stands, but they're good enough for what I need it for. So we're gonna use this, and that's fine. Okay, one thing I don't love about Pocket Wizards is they have these really cheap feet, and the feet tend to break. So they no longer fit in the hot shoe of the cameras. So this one is still in good shape, so I'm gonna use that to put on the camera. But for these triggers, I'll have to use it to control the lights. Will be set on receiver C only. These will be the ones on the camera. Okay, so if I only want the top light, I can use this to trigger just the top light. If I want to do just this light, I can just push B, or I can press C for that light. If I want to do them all, I can do that. Now we're not completely done yet. All right, so what I like to do is I like to have what I'm shooting displayed on this television set. It's not quite tethering in the traditional sense. If I'm tethering my camera to a computer, it automatically downloads that picture to the computer. What I'm doing here is simply having it displayed on the television set. So if I'm teaching a workshop, I can explain the concepts as I go, and it can see what I see live on this television. Now, I originally got this for live streaming, and I'm using the Hollyland transmitter, which will transmit the signal to the television set. And they just take Sony NP-F batteries. Today I'm going to be shooting with my Sony a7C II. One habit I like to do is I like to label all my batteries. And the reason why I do this is because on gigs, batteries eventually will die, but I want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to start with one. Once it dies, I put it into the red bin, and I can grab my second one. So that way I have a better system of keeping track of which batteries are charged and which are not. So let's say, for instance, we're out in the field and we're shooting multiple cameras. Then I say, okay, which battery do I grab next? I just grab it in sequential order rather than trying to figure out which battery is dead and which battery is good. So we still have about 20 minutes until the class starts. So I'm gonna set my settings ahead of time. I'm gonna be shooting in manual mode. Set the ISO to 100. Start my shutter at f11. And actually my shutter is not gonna matter too much as long as it's below 200, and I'm shooting my aperture at f13. So the Hollyland would normally fit in the hot shoe of the camera, but I need to use the hot shoe for the transmitter. So first I'm gonna put the transmitter on. I use this cage around the A7C, so I have another place to mount my transmitter. Well, it is connected to the camera, but not through the cold shoe. The cold shoe is just connected to the cage. The hot shoe is connected with this transmitter, and I'm going to connect. It will be connected to my camera, but it's going to be connected through this HDMI to mini HDMI cord, which I attach like such. And for the card I'm actually, it's a little overkill for what we're doing, but I'm using the Sony Tough card, 128 gigabytes. This is a V90 card, so there's very little lag in shooting. Especially for video, you need some fast transfer rates and you need something that's really durable. I go with the Sony Tough cards. I also shoot some SanDisk cards, and those SanDisks are also V90. But if you're looking to save some money, then you still can get away with V60. I try to stray away from V30. I use the SanDisk Extreme Pros, but we can get a whole different conversation about cards on this different day. So once I turn on the Hollyland, it's It's gonna take a minute to get the video feed from the camera to the Hollyland, and it's right now it's searching. Okay, it's finding and linking to the other one. It hasn't transmitted any video yet. Found the right signal. All right, now it's connected. So now it sees what we see. Yep. So then as I'm taking photos, you'll be able to see those photos show up on the screen. All right, first thing I notice, look how dirty my sensor is. See all these little dots? This little trail. Looks like I need a little bit of cleaning. Let's see what I can do. And that's it. I think we're good. And then we're ready to get the show on the road. And now we just gotta wait for our guests to arrive.